In the past 3 months, I grew my small account from $86 to over $900 using one strategy. And in this video, I am revealing that strategy to you. I will also give you a free giveaway towards the end, so don't skip around because you are going to love it. This strategy has been a goldmine for me in the past months, and I think it works because it uses two concepts of technical analysis. The first one is trendline breakouts, which is very common to traders, right? And the second one is divergence, which I will explain more in this video. So how does this work? Let me explain. So just like any other strategy, we need to see four main things before placing a trade, and we call it CEST. So C stands for conditions, and conditions is what is it that we need to see before thinking of placing a trade. And E stands for entry rules, and what is it that we need to see before placing the trade. The S stands for stops. When do we exit the market if we are wrong? The T stands for targets. When do we exit the market if we are right? So using these four concepts, let me explain to you how this strategy works and how I have been able to make over $900 in the market from a small account. So I'll start off with the conditions. So for the conditions, we need to put in the MACD on our charts. So you click here on indicators and then you select MACD. The MACD stands for moving average, convergence, divergence. So once you put the MACD here with the default settings, you are going to see that with the MACD, if the market is going in an uptrend, the MACD is always going to be above the zero line, which means the momentum is going into the buyers. So the MACD measures momentum in the market. And if you don't know what momentum is the speed that the market is moving in a certain direction. So once I add on the MACD into my charts, the next thing that I want to do is to draw trend lines. So for example, if I click from this point right here to this point right here, you can see that the market have been moving in an uptrend, and this trend line is helping me to confirm that. Right, so I want to wait for the market to break below the trend line. Once the market break below the trend line right here, I also want to look for the MACD. Where is the MACD headed at that point? So if you look at our MACD here, you are going to see that the MACD is now headed to the downside direction, but the market is still headed to the upside direction. If I draw a trend line, you're going to see that on the market is going to be looking like this, but on the MACD it's already looking like this. Since this is happening, this is what we call divergence. Divergence is simply when the market is going in a different direction with your oscillator like the MACD. Right, you can also use the RSI, but here I like to use the MACD. So the market is still going up, but the MACD is showing you already that the market is likely to drop. So once I see all this, my conditions are met. Number one, I want to see a market which has been trending for a very long time. Number two, I want to be able to draw a trend line in that market. Number three, I want to see that the market is still moving in an upward direction, but the MACD is already showing you different direction. And if I can do this, my conditions are met. The next thing is my entry rules. Where do I enter? I only enter when the market breaks below the trend line and closes below the trend line. So I want to see the market breaking and closing below the trend line. In this case, you can see at this point the market breaks below the trend line, and this is where I will place my sell trade. Once I place my sell trade, the next thing is the stop loss. Where do I put my stop loss? I want to put my stop loss above the highest point where the market got to before breaking the trend line, because if the market continues and goes above that zone again, the trend might be continuing. So I want to place my stop loss above the highest point where the market got to. And for my take profit, I only do 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, which means if I'm risking $10, I need to make $20. If I'm risking 100, I need to make 200 on that. If you look into our community here, you are going to see that I've been sharing a lot of trades using that same strategy without changing anything. So let me show you another example of how I use this strategy. So if you look into this market, you are going to see that from this point here, the market have been moving to a downside direction. And if I want to draw a trend line here, I will draw a trend line which looks like this, touching this zone number 1, number 2, and number 3. And if I'm drawing this trend line, if I draw also to the downside, you are going to see that from these 2 points here, I can draw a line which is going down like this, which is another trend line on the bottom, right? But if I draw on the MACD, you can see that if I touch this zone from here to here, you are going to see that the MACD is already started moving to an upward direction, creating what is called what? Divergence, right? If the market is still moving in a downside direction and then the MACD is already moving in an opposite direction, we know that the market is likely to break to the other side. So what do we do next after seeing this? The next thing that we do is to wait for that candle that closes above the trend line, which is in this case this candle right here. So we'll place a buy order here, and for our stop loss, we want to place our stop loss below the lowest point where the market got to. So in this case, I will put my stop loss below this zone right here. That's where I put my stop loss, and my take profit is gonna be 2 times the risk, right? Once I do this, I know that there is more chances of the market reversing on this zone. Why? Because the market is still moving downside, but the MACD is already telling you that the market is now shifting to the buyers. So in this case, you place your high probability trade right there. So if you look at this, you can see that this market has been trending to a downside for a long time. So I can be able to draw a trend line right here, which connects these 3 points right here. Number 1, number 2, and number 3, right? So if I connect these 3 points, next thing that I want to do is I want to look into the MACD and I want to see if we have some shift in momentum. If I draw my line here below, you can see that the market is still moving into a downside direction, but the MACD is already shifted in momentum and is now looking to go to the upside right here. If you look at this zone and this zone, this zone and this zone, you are going to see that the market and the MACD are moving in a different direction. So once I see this in the market, the next thing that I want to do is wait for the candles that breaks above the trend line, right? So once it breaks above the trend line, in this case it broke just right here, that's when I place my buy order. Once I place my buy order, where is my stop loss? My stop loss is at the lowest point that the market got to before breaking the trend line, which is in this case right here, and my take profit is 2 times the risk, and this was going to be another winning trade. If you use it correctly, this strategy is very profitable. But the only thing that you want to do is to wait for the right moment, because this is not going to happen many times in a day, right? You just need to wait for the right moment, because you want the market to trend in one direction for a long time, and then you want to wait for the reversal. So you're not going to get many trades. Maybe you're going to get 1 or 2 trades per day on a 5-minute time frame. But if you really have the patience to wait for the market to come to a highest point and create divergence, you can make money in the market. So I can show you a lot of examples right here. As you can see here, the market moved from this point. It was going in a downside direction right here. But if you look at the MACD, you can see that the MACD was already showing you that the market is shifting in momentum. If I join this point to this point, you can see the market was shifting in momentum. And what happened after breaking the trend line? You buy here, you put your stop loss here, and you put your take profit 2 times the risk. And this was another winning trade that came right after. Also, for the giveaway, here's what I did. I collected 10 trades and created a small PDF file which you can use. If you want to get that PDF file as a giveaway, make sure you click the first link in the description. I'm going to give you a free giveaway where you are going to get more examples of this strategy, as I've been using them in the market. So I have a lot of screenshots. I'm gonna compile them and then gonna give you, so that you can get each and every trade and understand how these trades work. So make sure you click the link in the description, and I will see you in the next video.